because we're going to be going for a little while, and people will be joining us in process. My name is Greg O'Neill, and along with my partner Ken Miller, we own Pastoral Artisan Cheese, Bread and Wine, which we started about 10 years ago here in East Lakeview, and we now have 3 stores, a restaurant called Bar Pastoral, and then we sell cheese to restaurants, and we also have an online business. We ship, gift baskets and stuff like that nationwide. So I'm going to be the moderator of this panel, which is how to get and keep that job, and some insider tips from an amazing panel of folks who are going to introduce themselves. The idea of this panel was to give you some great do's and don'ts. Some of them seem really obvious. We're going to have a handout here of some do's and don'ts. Some of them may seem like the most obvious things in the world, but trust me when I say that very, very often people are making these mistakes, and it's a good thing to keep in mind. But the idea was to represent many different sectors of the work world, because at different times in your life, you may be looking for a part-time job, you may be looking for a different type of job now than you're looking for in 3 years' time or in 5 years' time. So the idea of having the various folks on this panel is to show the diversity of workplaces that we have, and also there are some behaviors and certain types of employment situations that are similar across all of what we do, and some things that are unique to what we do. I'll give you a great example. In my line of work, we're in gourmet food and wine. When does everybody shop for that? Around the holidays. If you don't want to work around the holidays, you're probably getting into the wrong line of work. If you need the month of December off because you want to travel for 2 weeks to see your family, probably signing up for the wrong job. If you don't want to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, don't go work at a bakery. Sounds easy, but sometimes we need to make sure that we are clear with that. So without further ado, what we're going to do some introductions of who's who on the panel. Then we're going to talk for a little bit about how to find and prepare for getting that great job. And then the second part of that is going to be how to keep that job and prosper and succeed in the job that you're in. And we're going to share some thoughts about some of the behaviors and some of the traits of successful people in our line of work, and also some things that are not. And then we're going to certainly open it up to questions. I know personally I can stay around after the session's over to answer any questions you don't feel comfortable asking in front of other people. I'm sure that to the degree that they're able to, folks will stick around afterwards. So I'll start off by introducing very quickly Julie West of Harvest Consulting Group, Kinley Preston from Vanite, which is a Paul Mitchell concept salon. Did I say that correctly? Christy Webber, who is the president of Christy Webber Landscapes. You've probably seen her work all over town. And then Adam Zebelian, assistant state's attorney for the Cook County Cook County State's Attorney Office here in Chicago under Anita Alvarez. Hopefully, in midstream, Sean Katwa from LKH Management, which is the management company that owns Hydrate and Elexir and Replay and Manhole and Halsteads. He will hopefully join us in midstream. But with that, I'm going to give it over to Julie, who will tell us a little about herself.
Sure. Hi, I'm Julie West. I'm CEO and president of the Harvest Consulting Group. What my firm does is we specialize in placing IT, creative and marketing, and finance and accounting professionals on a contract basis or a full-time basis with our clients. But I also hire internally for my company for recruiters and for admins and for salespeople.
Hi, I'm Kinley Preston. I am the CEO of Antique Incorporated. Our location
Webber of Christy Webber Landscapes. We design, build, and maintain landscapes in Chicago and in the Midwest. We are always looking for staff, from laborers, I call them grass cutters, to you name it. Everybody thinks it's just green side out in the grass, but we have accountants, designers, mechanics. It's a full-fledged business that employs all aspects of business. So.
Hi everyone, I'm Adam Zebelian. I'm an Assistant State's Attorney at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. For some of you who may not know what the Cook County State's Attorney's Office is, it's not the Attorney General's Office. I work for Anita Alvarez, who's your elected Cook County State's Attorney, who is a well-loved politician in the LGBT community. We prosecute every felony and misdemeanor that occurs in Cook County. We also defend the county in civil matters. Anita Alvarez heads an office of approximately 1,800 employees, 800 of which are lawyers. That leaves another about 1,000 employees that are not lawyers. So we're constantly hiring admins and support staff, social workers that assist us with victims and things of that nature. So we're always hiring, and again, it's a very LGBT-friendly office.
So as you can see, very different employers, but all people who are constantly looking for help. And just because the economy is doing better doesn't mean that there isn't difficulty in finding great people. So how can you be one of those great people who rises above the, if you put a job description on Craigslist, you might get 200-300 resumes. How do you get noticed, and how do you rise to the top? And also, when they do bring you in, how do you become the candidate that they want to hire? So there are some things that I'm just going to give you one piece of advice that is the most important advice I will be able to give today, and that is show up when you say you will. No calls, no shows are probably the worst thing that you can possibly do. If you've accepted another job or you decided this isn't the job for you, not calling or not sending an email or letting the person you're meeting with know it is a very small world. I will just say that it is a rising problem, and something you would think, has anybody heard of Paul Kahan or Blackbird or Avec or Nico? The Republican. This guy won the top culinary award in the country of chefs. Everybody wants to work for Paul Kahan. Paul Kahan put something on Facebook the other day and said, what is it with people not showing up for job interviews or stages is what they call it. Welcome everybody. We just did a quick intro, and we'll go back through who everybody is in just a few moments. But basically the idea of not showing up and not calling and just being reliable and all those things sounds like the easiest, most obvious thing in the world, and so many people are not doing it. It is the kind of thing that can be a terrible black mark on your candidacy for any job, because people do talk. So if you want to be a chef and you don't go take the job at this restaurant because you want to go to the other one, well, those chefs may be friends with each other and they may check with each other, and it would not be the strangest thing on earth to learn that that bad behavior follows you.
Not only that, you might want to come back and participate with us too, and not showing up. That ends up at a half or two where someone knows shows no calls, and then a month later, 6 months goes by, they're making an application again. I'm like, why would I give you a second chance? So even just calling to see to be on the job, like you said, being at least professional courtesy,
And that's absolutely right. And I think that one of the things that we're going to get, this gets into how to keep a job. But when you leave a job, make sure you don't burn any bridges on the way out the door, and that you give the proper notice when you leave, because you never know when you may want to reapply to where you are. So giving the respect and the courtesy, anybody who wants to hire you, who wants you to start tomorrow and leave your current employer without giving notice, I'd be very nervous about working for that employer, because if they don't respect your need to be respectful to your current employer, then they're maybe not going to be so respectful to you either. So choose, this is a dance here. Interviewing for and seeking a job is finding a fit. Finding a place where you're going to be happy, where you're going to be valued, where you're going to be bringing value back to them. But just remember that an interview is going in both directions. So what about interviewing for and looking for a job?
Can I just piggyback on burning a bridge?
Sure.
Because I've seen this happen where, someone will leave a job and not do it respectfully, take another position, and then months later that person that was their old boss is now their new boss.
Oh, never again.
Okay, so, I mean, you just never know. It's a funny world out there.
And
We always meet twice in life.
Also, too, one thing I always ask people when they apply is how they left their old job, because usually how you left your old job is how you're going to leave or should still leave.
Right.
So, that's...
Well, which is absolutely right. So
If
you
just
guys are
walk out of your
interviewing.
job and, you just walk out the door. A lot of people say, well, I just couldn't take it anymore and I walked out the door. Well, that tells me, I'm not going to probably take a chance on you, because that's how you're probably going to be as well.
Which is, that's burning a bridge. It also tells how professionally you conduct yourself. So if in your job interview you're talking about how negatively about your previous employer, that sends a signal to your prospective employer that that's how you're going to talk about them. Because behaviors like that replicate themselves, and people, if you're going to do that, so always be mindful that where you've been and how you relate, even if it wasn't the most positive experience on earth, relaying it in a way that is not respectful or positive will not reflect very well on you. So what I was going to ask the panel was to go around and tell a little bit about, okay, what are the types of candidates that pique your interest, get you very interested? What are the types of things that are really catch your eye and make you want to bring somebody in for an interview, or look like a good candidate? And then we're going to go over what are some things that are immediate turnoffs, or things that are worrisome because they're not easy. The do's are important. The don'ts are also really important, because sometimes you never get a chance to show the positive side of yourself if the first thing out of the gate is a negative impression. So why don't we start with Adam, and they're going to also tell this from the perspective of the type of business that they're in. So they may give a little bit of aspect of how that applies in their world. Yes, I will do that again. I'm sorry, because some of you have joined us.
No, I mean, them. Like, what are they looking for? Who are they? What, just how many are looking for a job? How many have a job?
Well,
How many are you here without a job and you need a job? You need a job now. How many of you have a degree, a 4-year degree? All right. So most everybody here having a job needs a job. So are you looking that you'll walk out of this thing from Center on Halstead to have a job when you leave out of here, at least prospective interviews?
And the good news is that many of us are here. Like I have our HR manager, for example, from Pastoral, is up in the auditorium. I don't know how many here are interviewing. I don't know if you have a table or not, but how many here at the table are interviewing? And
I have a table, and I have somebody on their way to be at that table.
So how many of us are hiring right now?
We are always hiring.
Or hiring, we don't have a table.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can know that all 5 of us, as we're speaking today, are in the market. I'm in the market right now for probably 5 or 6 different positions. Some of them seasonal, some of them full-time, some of them with benefits, some of them weekends or holiday or whatever it is.
Same here.
Yeah. So there are many different, we're going to be talking about very different, you may just be looking to pick up a second job, or you may be looking to pick up something for just the, the holiday season or something like that. So there's all different possibilities here. So with that in mind, why don't we go back to the, what's a good candidate look like to you, Adam?
Well, actually, I just was in New York City recruiting at an LGBT law fair. And the things I'm about to say are universal. And so they're law students that are trying to get jobs, and there's about 200 legal recruiters in the room, all looking to hire new lawyers or to hire interns or law clerks. I actually got my job at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office from Lavender Law, it's called, which is put on by the LGBT Bar Association here in Chicago in 2007. I came an intern for our office and I was hired. What I'm looking for when I'm receiving resumes is a resume that shows someone that has interest in the work we do. If you're sitting there telling me that you want to be a prosecutor or work in a government agency, or you want to be a social worker in our office or an admin, and your resume shows that you have had no interest up until this moment in what we do, I think you're full of it. Why have you interned at private law firms throughout your entire short legal career, but a legal career while you've been in law school, and now you're telling me you want to make a third of that salary, and that you're really all about helping victims of violent crime? You just want a job. I'm looking for that candidate who's gone into debt and who's sacrificed money to do this line of work, because my line of work, you're not going to make a lot of money doing. So I question the motives of someone who comes up to me with a resume that's not reflective of someone who wants to actually do this kind of work. To me, their motive is getting a job, and for whatever reason, they feel like they have an in with us. Do you see what I'm saying?
So Adam, just one quick question then. So if somebody was working in a different line of work and doesn't have a resume that looks like a bullseye for what you're looking for, how can they volunteer or do are there things they can do to make themselves better candidates for you?
Well, if one of those resumes is in front of me and I ask them, why do you want to become a prosecutor in our office? And they don't have a good answer, then I know that they're full of it. However, if they say, well, I've tried it in the big firm world and I hated it. But you know what I did? Since I figured out I hated it, I started taking classes in criminal law. Or I volunteered at a victim rights group or whatever that shows that they've had a shift in idea. Do you see what I mean? They have a shift in perspective where this is what they actually want to do. Otherwise, if you're just sitting there saying, I'm a good writer and I'm really interested in working for you, unless that's demonstrated in your resume that you really want to work for us, I think you're full.
So Christy, thank you, Adam. Christy, in your world, what sets somebody apart in terms of looking like a really attractive candidate for the types of positions you're hiring for?
We go, again, so we have entry-level work, sort of like McDonald's, where you come in, as long as you're strong and you show up, you'll be on the crew and you'll be cutting the grass, right? If you have a driver's license, you could be a foreman. Those positions I generally don't interview for those positions. Those start from $9.50 to $12.50 as the laborers, from $12.50 to $16.50 as the foreman. And it'd be great if you had experience in landscaping, because somebody else would have that job. But if you come on and you show up every day and you do your job, you got a job. But if you come on and you miss a day because you got baby mama drama and all the crap that we have to hear, we're done, right? It goes away very quickly. Because there's just another guy out there, another gal that will do that. Now, as far as interviewing for the other positions that we have in the company, I agree 100%. We can read right through your resumes. If you need a JOB, I got a JOB. If you want to start something in your life, and you show me that you feel that, if I see any sort of passion, that you've done your research about my company, that you understand the position, that we've advertised for. We never advertise on Craigslist, ever. Because all you get are 200 resumes of bullshit. And we don't even have time to file them, let alone read them. So I'm not going to waste my time on Craigslist. We're going to advertise internally and hopefully on other sites where we get more qualified candidates or people that are for real.
Like what are some of those sites?
A lot of the horticulture sites, you know. A lot of word of mouth. A lot of friends get hired by internally, like this sister, you know, we have a lot of admin positions, which are anywhere between $12 an hour to $50,000 a year. Then you start to move into, you know, salary jobs with benefits. I mean, landscaping has come a long way. It literally is I have people that are six-figure people working for me. And these people were not landscape. They don't have degrees in horticulture. They don't even have degrees. But they knew how to make it work. They found a niche in my company, a place where they could be helpful. And I think that's what it's all about, is that you look and you understand the company. You read very carefully and in between the lines of the job description that you're applying for, and figure out, is this what I'm passionate about? Because believe me, you can't fake us out. And nowadays, we completely interview 1,000 times so we don't get any workman comp people, or we piss test everybody. We go through everything to try to keep all the riffraff out as a business owner. You cannot believe, you know, how the system has been geared against us as employers. So if you come with the passion, with the desire, with the information that you can find anywhere online, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to probably hire you because you're 10 steps above 100 other people. And I imagine everybody feels the same way. But, I mean, I'm just going to tell it how it is. Sorry. But that's how I am. So.
Wait, so you work in landscaping, right?
Yeah, I have a landscaping company, right? I employ 450 people right now. So I'm half the staff of that governmental agency, but I'm private industry, privately owned. I am every day at work. I'm in your face with you. I know most every person that works for me. I have a garden center, a re-wholesale shop, 2 facilities, and a composting facility. So it's a broad and vast stuff, but it doesn't just always have to do with green. Tracy's been, she knows.
Oh my God, it's an amazing place. But show up to work every day at the right time.
I don't care if you are the big shot accountant or whatever you might be. You got to be to work every day at 8 o'clock. I don't care. So, you know, everybody's got to be to work. So
what I'm hearing is there are, like you're going to see, by the way, before anybody leaves, we have handouts on do's and don'ts for getting a job and for keeping a job. Some of the things that we're all looking for and these are things that are really unifying elements to whether it's in landscaping, whether it's in law, whether it's in consulting, whether it's in the salon business, whether it's in entertainment or retail. So please make sure you get one of those. But I think that a lot of what you're going to hear here Christy may say it, but Julie could have just as easily have said it, or Kinley or Adam or myself. So Kinley, what are some things you're looking for when people are coming into your world?
Our industry is a little bit different in that aspect. The resumes are usually the last thing I look at. We have a 4-part interview process where we have basically some degree. We basically hire the person based off their personality, because we can train you to do everything else. When you apply at our company, you'll meet with our operations leader and our educational director, that we call meet and greet. And basically what they're doing there is they're just judging you based off your personality and whether or not you make it to the next step. They don't look at your resume, they're seeing you show more time, how you look. They tell you a little bit about our company and what you're looking for. You know, like they'll say, another thing is too, we get a lot of people don't even know how to pronounce our name, the name of our company. Spanatay, or they've never even been to our website yet. So make sure you're researching the places that you're going. You know how to pronounce names properly. Do your research on their websites, because we'll ask you questions off our websites. And it's like you're applying to me, but you don't even know anything about my company.
Next.
So yeah. So we ask weird questions like, if you were to order a steak at a restaurant that you wanted medium, like say medium rare, and it came out well done, would you sit there and eat it, or would you say something or to your waiter about it. And there's no right or wrong answer to that, but it gauges us on like, are you a timid person, or are you probably more outspoken than you should be? Like we kind of gauge your personality on that. But in our line of work, 85% of our clients return to us based off of that hairstylist and makeup artist's personality. They come back because of the relationships that they can have with people, not based off of their talent. I mean, talent is obviously a plus. We get to that. So if you get to the next interview, you come in. We have what you spend the day with us and the rest of our employees because we're team oriented. Everyone works in a team. And we evaluate whether or not like you're pitching in, sweeping hair, helping jump in with other professional artists to assist them, or you're just kind of standing back in the corner watching. So we don't tell you what to do. We just throw you in there and see your reactions on how you work with our team, and if you're able to work with other people, and how you're greeting customers and clients coming in the door. And if you make it past that, then we bring you back in, and then we judge you off your talent. And then after if my educational directors, say that you have the talent portion to go along with the personality, and then you meet with me and I go over your resume, and that's when we kind of get down to what's listed on here.
Thank you. This is great. What we do, we're a retailer, and just so for those who are late to the party here, you've heard what the other folks do. My business is gourmet food and wine retail. We also have a restaurant that's called Pastoral here in Chicago. We have 3 stores, one in Lakeview, one in the Loop, one in West Loop, and then a restaurant here in East Lakeview. What we're looking for, it was interesting to hear Christy say that she doesn't go on Craigslist because it's so much and it's hard to sift through. Well, we do still do some of our recruiting on Craigslist, but we will also go something like goodfoodjobs.com, which is if you're looking for a quality food job in restaurant or hospitality or catering or something like that, that's a good. There are these sites that are specific to industries. There are also discussion pages, and there are also Facebook pages. But what that means is when you're looking for a job and you really are interested in something, don't just send resumes and emails and cover letters and apply to a million jobs and have really no idea what you're applying for. Better to focus on, at least from our perspective, better to focus on 4 or 5 opportunities at once and do your homework. Get 20 minutes on the internet and look and go to their website. Look at what others are saying about them. Visit the business as a customer, or just walk in, check out what it's about, and find out if it's a fit for you. And because I think that when somebody comes in, the biggest turnoff for me is when somebody's never heard of our business, hasn't bothered to even figure out who we are and what we do, and then I'm supposed to spend my time telling them why they should want to work for me when I'm going to pay them to work. So if you didn't care enough to spend 20 minutes to do your homework on this and to maybe see where understand what our philosophy is, our website is rich with information about our business. And we have our job descriptions all there for you to look at and what we're looking for, what would be good experience. The one thing that has always been interesting to me when we get a candidate is somebody, just because I say, working with food experience is strongly preferred. If you have not, but you have worked in a customer service oriented environment in terms of dealing with consumers and giving great customer service, and you've used a register and something, and you worked at the Gap, that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have a position for you, but you have to think about how you can present yourself in a way that shows your related skills. So that's not my job to do that. That's your job to think about how it relates. So if you are writing a letter to us and it's not obvious to us why you would be a fit based on your experience, then there's a little bit more explaining to do on your end in terms of how the related experience that you might have or bring to the table. The other thing that I'll tell you, I think every one of us will probably agree, if you send me a letter or an email with misspellings that hasn't been proofread or something like that, that just shows that you don't care.
Or texting.
Yeah, or texting, or I had somebody apply to me via a private message on Facebook. And I was like, yes, I know you socially out, but that is not how you apply for a job. A Facebook message with an attachment of a letter of recommendation. And this is somebody who is almost 40 years old, applied for a job with me this way, and I had to be a little harsh. I had to say, you realize how that comes off? It's just, yeah.
I think social media has really skewed a lot of, especially the younger generation. It's really taken away the professionalism a lot. So I get that a lot from Facebook markets. Not like people just, or they know someone that works for me and they want to get a job. But I get to see that. That's becoming, I see a trend that's happening more and more, like through text messaging and Facebook and social media. You know, it's still.
I just hired somebody from social media. I met her through Tennessee. She was, you know what, we are so desperate for good people, all aspects of my business, that she just said, I'm moving down to Chicago, and I've been watching her designs and all her stuff on Facebook. We've been yakking back and forth about issues that we believe in. She's a dyke, and so we totally brought her in. I mean, you know, I have like 7 dykes that work for me, and I brought her in, and when we offered her $65,000, she took the job. She's moving from Tennessee to here. So it wasn't. So that's not like a $20,000 job. I mean, this is like a professional career for her, and it was all through Facebook. And it was. That's how. Because I need people. If anybody has any, if they're educated, experienced in our business, we're, you know, looking for them. Because I've got them even going to other businesses now. That everybody's stealing everybody. I don't know if you guys experience this.
It happens for sure.
The economy is kicking, construction economy, and it's going crazy right now. We're super busy.
There's a question right there.
I was wondering, for people that's in here, if they've never had a job before, but they're interested in to come into their first job, you know, how they go about that.
Well, there's got to be a first time somebody hires everybody, right? Every one of us came into some place and had never had a job before. So that doesn't. So how you present yourself is just that, you know, talk about, you know, what kinds of things you've studied in school, or what types of things are interesting to you, or the things where you're. For example, I'm very organized. I have an attention to detail. Qualities about yourself that distinguish you are as important as some of the things that, you know, and you may have to prove yourself in an entry-level job. But I'll tell you right now, we take a chance on people who have demonstrated they're reliable, they're organized, they communicate well, they're respectful of their coworkers. I'll tell you right now, we're getting into the types of things that are, you know, what represents a successful employee for us. People who treat their coworkers with as much respect and as much internal customer service as you want to give to a customer walking in the door. So people who show that kind of maturity, and people who are, you know, not gossiping, people who leave their problems and their, you know, if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, that should be leave that on the side of the bed, because that doesn't play. That doesn't play, you know, somebody who comes into my store does not care that you had a fight with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your mother or anything else this morning. That's going to have to go on the sideboard until the day's over.
We have a saying that's on our front door that says you're responsible for the energy that you bring into the space. Not only do we hold our staff accountable to that, so we hold our guests and clients accountable to that as well. Like, we don't even ask our guests to leave their meeting inadvertently. If you're behave like that in our business, we don't want your business. You know, so I totally agree with what you're saying, and just lost what I was going to say with that. But like, even like, I know like a lot of salons you go into, like they have a lot of like the People magazine, you know, K magazine, a lot of those gossip magazines. We don't even carry those in our salon. We don't even allow that to kind of, it's about educating the guests and the clients. And as our team members and our stylists that work for us, like they're not allowed to gossip, they're not getting into people's personal lives, which I know that's what a lot of people go to salon for. We're not psychologists, we're not getting paid psychologists salaries, so we're not going to be one. So that, like a lot of the, like you're saying, the personal problems that, You know, like we even hear it, you know, like my staff's trained that even if our guests are talking about, you know, their night out at the bars and whatnot, to redirect that conversation. We try to keep the energy as positive as possible and focus on what we're doing. And when you bring that outside stuff in, it only distracts you from your talent, it distracts you from, you know, because you never know, like with us, when you're working right next to another stylist with like you guys in their chair, so you never know what someone else's guests are like for you if they get at your restaurant. If your server's having a conversation with the table, there might be a table next to you that's going to overhear your negative conversation. So it affects your attitude as an employee affects your entire workspace.
Couldn't agree more. Well, it actually gets to the golden rule. Treat everybody else as you wish to be treated. It sounds like the easiest thing on earth, but sometimes you can't take that negative energy somebody else is bringing and put it back at them. You've got to be more professional than that, and that is the stuff that your employer observes. It's your ability to be graceful under fire when it's stressful. Those are the people I think about to promote. Those are the people who show the maturity that somebody I want to keep around. Now, Julie had to step out for a second, but she didn't get a chance to talk about what, in her line of work, what some of the various types of people she's trying to hire, and maybe the types of traits or the types of things that pique your interest, and then maybe some things that are a non-starter.
Oh boy. Because I hire, two different ways. I hire for my company internally, and then my staff and myself hire for our clients. So, but I don't think it's any different, really, when you think about it, because the types of people that we put in front of our clients, they're our brand, which is really, really important. Okay, they're representing my organization, and so when I hire internally, I expect the same thing. So, in terms of if I were to get a resume and the resume looks really, really good on paper, here's what I'm going to do. I'll just be honest with you. I'm going to go and look at your LinkedIn profile. Okay? I'm going to see how many connections you have. Do you have any recommendations? Then I'm going to go to your Facebook page, because that's going to tell me a whole different story, right? Okay? So before I even pick up the phone, that's what I've already done. And I think, what a non-starter is for me is, having an attitude, being bitter about your last employer. You can really write a great resume, but can you really talk to what's on that resume? And if you can't, then the interview's over. So I know that sounds really harsh, and I interview really hard. I mean, I've actually had people cry.
You bring up a great point. You know your story better than anybody else. So don't make that story up as you go along. Anticipate what somebody's going to ask you. They're going to ask you why you made the decision you did. Or, and that's not to get personal with you into every aspect of your personal life. But, you worked for 5 years in a restaurant and now you want to work in landscaping, or you want to work in a salon, or you're changing what you're doing. What's behind that? Have a good answer for that. And there isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer. I don't know at all, but to have it well explained and to not be taken off guard by that, you should be expecting that somebody's going to be asking you about, you weren't working for a year and a half. Why weren't you working? Now, I'll tell you right now.
You were in jail. No.
Well, no, there are many, many answers why that is.
I'm just kidding. That's a lot of what we see. You were in jail. So, especially for our labor force. So, not for professionals, but, or they've been in treatment of some sort.
Right, and we have folks who have said, hey, I was getting my shit together for a while, and I had a job, and I had some personal issues I had to deal with, and I took care of them. I've been caring for a sick relative, and I've been out of the labor force, but I've kept current by doing this, and this, You know, we just came out of
The reverse of that, though, is putting everything you've ever done in your life on your resume. Because that is a drag to look at. I mean, if you put everything you've done on, you know, if you job hop for 1 year to 2 or 3 jobs, you know, again, I'm not going to hire you. Because then you're going to job hop me.
That's the same thing we did, it's just using it as the opposite of what you're talking about.
The opposite of what he's saying.
Been at 3 jobs in the last 6 months, well, you know, that's
Forget it.
Yeah, your resume has to be bullet points, okay? Because employers look at so many resumes, and it could be, you know, we don't want to read a thesis, okay? We want, you have to have that wow factor and bullet points, and also quantify what you're putting down in that bullet point.
If you're new to the job world and your resume is longer than a page, it's too long.
Yeah.
If you've been working for 15 years, maybe you're a page and a half. But you have to keep it short, keep it relevant. And the other thing is, what did you do? Like, for example, not just what was your responsibility, but what did you do? Like, for example, my boss wanted me to control costs. And we wanted to control food waste. So we took food waste, we reduced food waste by 20%. And I measured that every week, and that was part of my responsibility. That what you accomplished in that role is as important as what your responsibility was in that role. I was a line cook in a restaurant. I was, you know, in charge of making sure the food got out in good condition, enjoyed, wasn't sent back. And the measures of success were we had very few return refires, and we got our turnaround time to get a dish out down by from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. These are things, you know, now in the measure in Kinley's business may be different. The measure in, you know, Christy's different, and in Adam's world, what passes as accomplishment or things like that. But think about what you did and not just what you were responsible for, because that tells people that you're a results-oriented person who is looking to achieve something.
I agree with that, but you also have to explain how you did that. Not just that you did it, but how did you do that?
But do they do that in the interview, or do they do that in their resume?
I think that you do it in the resume.
I think not only what you did, but where you want to go. Because I have people that come to me and will say, one of the questions we ask is, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? And we get a lot of kids right out of school. We have a bunch of schools all over across the country, and they'll be like, well, I want to be in a successful salon or a busy salon in 5 years. And then we'll have people that say, well, I want to be a senior stylist at Vanity in 5 years. So if you just say, well, I want to be somewhere in 5 years, well, 3 to 5 years, but you don't want to be with me, then you're just looking for a job. You don't want to be with me. But I have people that say, I want a job with you. I see myself as a senior stylist, which takes 3 to 5 years to build up to one. Or I want to own a Vanity someday. So, you know, that's to me is a huge thing. It tells me exactly, I'm not going to invest in you, because I believe if I invest, I'll put 110% into all my employees, because I know I'm going to get 140% back. But I'm not going to put anything into you if I know you don't want to be with me for 3 or 4 years. Because we're a long-term, we hire people for the long term.
Question for Julie.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you look at the Facebook profile as well as LinkedIn. What if you don't have a Facebook profile?
That's okay.
I look at Facebook too.
I actually, on my LinkedIn profile, I have my company's website, but I also have a personal About Me page, which that means other people can't post stuff that may have nothing to do about.
Right.
What do you do?
I'm sorry?
What do you do?
Oh, I'm a television engineer.
Oh, okay.
So,
I like working
and just in response to your question about the first job, I think the best thing you can do is to find something that you're passionate about and do it even at a volunteer organization. And I think employers will honor and say, oh, I see you've done this or that. And in other words, try to do what you're passionate about, and that will help you find a job.
So, for example, when I was 14 years old, I played basketball, but there was this doctor that had horses, so I got my first job mucking the stalls for the horses, cleaning stalls of horse shit for this doctor. But it was a job. Now, isn't it funny? I'm 53 now. And I'm pretty much playing around in horse shit again at 53. So I loved it. I was around horses. I was outside. I didn't even understand gardening. It had nothing to do with gardening, but you know, it's like full circle. I'm still doing, my hands are dirty from working in the market.
Don't shake her
That's what I do, right? I'm passionate about that.
I think you hit a good point.
The key word, passion.
I love it.
If you're passionate about something, you do it even if it's not a job. I think people are supposed to respect that. I walked in thinking, in my first internship, I walked in thinking that my associate arts degree and my studies in television were what would get the job. And the manager of the Sears Howard TV studio said to me, that education means nothing to me. 7 years you worked with your repair shop after high school and after your college job, now that means something. It was not something I wanted to hear, but if you do something that you're passionate about, I think that opens doors to employers. And you can't hide it, they'll see it in the resume.
Yeah, I mean, it
And
just
that-
shows,
that-
and honestly, why wouldn't you want to do something that you're passionate about? Because it would be horrible
Ugh.
to go into work every day if you were miserable.
Passion should be about what you want to do,
Yeah.
not that you need an agent.
Go down to City Hall and
Well, I agree
all
with
those workers.
you said with like the vol, like if you don't have a job and you're waiting and you're pursuing a job, volunteering and giving back to your community, find organizations to get involved in that you might not get a paycheck from, because like my company, everyone's required to do a certain amount of hours of community service and give back to the community. That's
great.
I look for that. And plus, when you volunteer, it's going to open up doors and networks and connections that you might get a job through. It's fun. So, and it's fun, yeah, and you feel good about yourself when you give back.
I'll make sure Adam also, throws in any thoughts. You're talking about things that are very appealing to you, or if you're looking for passion. I'm hearing that. What in the legal world or in the governmental area, what are the types of things that typically people who do well exhibit? What kind of behaviors?
Their main focus isn't making money, it's giving back. The whole point of working for the government is public service, right? That you're giving back to your community, that you need something out of your job other than a paycheck, other than making a lot of money. So that's something that we look for. But I want to give another answer to your question. I think the best way to get a job is networking. That's why things like this are so important. That's how I got my job. That's how I got my first job. My best friend's aunt was a manager at a grocery store, and I became a bagger. You don't always get the job you really want and that you have passion for. Sometimes you just got to get a job so you can build your resume, right? But the easiest way to get a job, I believe, is through your networks. And I believe that the LGBT community is a great community to network in. There are a lot of people in this community that are more than happy and willing to help out fellow members of this community.
Totally true.
And you need to capitalize on that. And I don't think that's done enough.
Don't be afraid to ask.
And that's where Facebook can be used.
Beneficial.
From my perspective, I think the negative of the Facebook is ranting about something that may make you look unprofessional. And I'm guilty of it just like anybody. Thankfully, I own my own business. But the reality is,
Thankfully.
no, but the reality is that putting out there saying, I'm looking for something in this area. Do you know of anybody who's hiring? Do you know anybody? Do you have a cousin or something, or a relative or somebody who might be looking to hire somebody with this is my background? I'll tell you right now, and then have to say private me or whatever. You get that, and a lot of people really respond to that. That's what networking is. That's what social media is best for. Putting the word out. And
I bet you all of us could say right here that it was gay people that started us out in business. It was a bunch of gals and gay guys that said, let's give that Christy Webber, she's a dyke, let's give her a chance to cut our grass.
Yeah.
No kidding. And thank God, like these girls brought me up to Glencoe. That zip code alone was just dripping of money. And they owned a house up there, so I started cutting grass up there because of their house. And then they told other friends of me, and it was total, I call it the gay mafia. Great!
I can relate to that
Great.
too. I can't agree. Like just with her, like, you know, when I'm in Chicago, I was borderline homeless, and I went through all the local magazine rags, and I found events that were free that I could show up to, and it didn't cost me anything, or I knew people what networks were going to be at, and I just started building my presence. And that's and my connections and networks are at why I'm at the level I'm at today, is because of networking. So I don't think it can be any more correct. Networking is where it's all at.
And as bad as Facebook can be for you, it can be very good too, because you can control whatever goes on your page. And who you become friends with and what you're presenting to them. And so you can put up any face you want. You can put up the angry guy that's mad at the CTA bus driver, or you can put up the professional guy or gal that's really serious about whatever he or she is passionate for. Do you see what I'm saying? So you can use social media to your benefit. It doesn't always have to be a detriment. And social media makes it so easy to network because people feel like they know you just through your Facebook.
And it's usually a friend of your friend who finds it for you. So it isn't always the person you know, your best friend who finds it. It's the friend of a friend who usually ends up helping you out. So we're going to be wrapping up. We're going to take some questions if you've got it. We're happy to take them, but I also want to let you know what's coming up afterwards. Owen Daniel McCarter is going to be doing something about legal issues in the workplace, things like criminal record expungement, legal issues in discrimination, ID changes, etc. So after this, he will be talking about that, which is also something really important to keep in mind, because legal issues in the workplace, we talked about, you know, if you did do some time in jail, or if you did
tell us. Just tell us. I mean, honestly.
And there are also ways to expunge your record, especially when it's a very minor thing, prior to going into the job search. So there are some great tips that are going to be given there. Does anybody have any questions for any member of the panel at this point now? Otherwise, we're available afterwards. Yes?
I have a question on that. Ms. West, I'm not exactly sure what kind of work you do.
Sure. My firm specializes in placing IT, creative and marketing, finance, and accounting professionals on a consulting basis or a full-time basis to clients. But I also hire internally. So, you know, I have a person in charge of my HR department, a person in charge of accounting, legal, and operations. And then I hire recruiters and account managers, business development.
You also hire like admins?
Yes, and admins too.
We all have admin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually,
That was a shame that we even looked at you and said that, Bill. Don't even think about admin. Shoot higher than that.
it's fine, but I will tell you that in every one of our businesses, we all have to run a business, and I think that's the point I'm hearing here is there are many different functions in every one of our business. So you may like to do social media. Well, I got to do social media for my business. I have somebody who's posting our Facebook posts, but we have somebody who's answering the phone, and we have somebody who's doing this, and we have somebody who's doing that. So even though you may not be a trained chef, I'm hiring for many different types of jobs. And some of those are, I think a lot of our folks here have either a table upstairs or are happy to talk to you about the jobs that they have available. I know Pastoral has a table up there, and others here may have tables up there. And I encourage you to tell your friends about this for next year too, because I think the reason why this exists is for all of us in the LGBT community to help give, you know, that networking to each other to help folks find, you know, the quality employment, because that's what you really want. You want something that's a quality job, hopefully with benefits, hopefully that you can rely on, where if you're doing a good job, they do well by you. We got great examples of companies that are doing that and that are hiring actively now, and an LGBT community candidate is going to be in great stead to be, you know, gay-owned and run businesses. Doesn't have to be. We got gay, straight, questioning, trans. We got every aspect, you know, in our businesses, and be who you are, but also make sure that you're prepared dress for the job, come in, hygiene, dress nicely.
Yes, Bill, I actually prefer if you're coming in for a foreman labor position, if you come in a suit, forget it. You scare me.
You're talking from landscaping?
Yeah, I would rather you come in and show me that your boots have holes in the tips because you've been on your knees, dragging around on the ground, and your hands are dirty for those jobs. Field supervisor, operations jobs, that you know the work. If you're going to come in and be, suits scare us anyway, then I think they're just bankers. But just ask at the front desk when you call back and you're scared to ask me or whoever might be interviewing you, just call at the front desk and say, hey, what should I wear? I'm coming to interview for, the admin position or the designer's position or intern for whatever it might be. What should I wear? They'll tell you, don't dress up.
Sorry, go, please.
There is another, it's called .429.com. It's basically the LGBT version of LinkedIn. And it is tons of LGBT professionals from all across the country.
Can you say that again?
.429.com.
DOT429.com.
It's basically the LGBT version.
And they just had a fabulous
Yeah, they always have fabulous events. They have DOT429.com, and they have networking events throughout the country all year long. And throughout Chicago. So I think we've been to a few of them.
I have been. They're very well done.
They're great for networking and tons of major business professionals.
DOT 14